Hey guys, so tonight we're going to delve into a world far removed from your silky sheets and skincare routines. Forget the Instagram filters and the glossy magazines. We're talking about the raw, sometimes grotesque, lengths history's most powerful women went to in pursuit of beauty. You might think your anti-aging cream is a commitment, but you haven't seen anything yet. This isn't about vanity. It's about power, survival, and a desperate desire to wield influence in a man's world, often at a truly brutal cost. So before we journey back, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and tell us in the comments where you're listening from and what time it is. All right, find that cozy spot, pull your blanket up high, and let the flickering shadows of the past envelope you. We're about to get real. You close your eyes and suddenly the crisp, cool air of your modern bedroom vanishes. Instead, a humid, heavy warmth presses in, carrying with it the faint, sweet, sour scent of fermenting milk and exotic, heavy perfumes, frankincense, myrrh, and something indefinably floral. You're in ancient Egypt, not in the dusty, sun-baked streets, but within the cool, shadowed opulence of Cleopatra's private bathing chambers. The air hums with the low murmur of servants, the soft splash of water, and the distant, rhythmic creak of buckets being lowered and raised. This isn't a spa. This is a daily, elaborate, and utterly bizarre ritual that speaks of absolute power and an almost pathological pursuit of eternal youth. You feel the rough, cool stone under your bare feet as you're led towards a vast, polished alabaster basin larger than any tub you've ever seen, easily big enough to comfortably float several people. Imagine, if you can, the sheer logistical nightmare involved in your impending bath. This isn't just a dash of milk. This is a full submersion in the warm, creamy essence of hundreds of lactating female donkeys. You try to picture it, the herds of animals, specifically chosen for their delicate milk, tended by slaves, the endless milking sessions dawn to dusk, the precious liquid collected in clay amphorae rushed through the desert heat to reach the queen's palace before it sours too much. You hear the faint, echoing bleat of a donkey carried on a phantom breeze from far away, and it brings a stark clarity to the scene. This isn't a luxury. It's a living, breathing testament to the power of a queen who could command such resources for something as seemingly simple as a bath. The sheer economic might represented by that basin of milk is staggering. Your mind, accustomed to turning on a tap for clean, endless water, struggles to comprehend the extravagance, the labor, the sheer will involved in filling this colossal tub. Now, you stand at the edge of the alabaster basin. Steam, faintly sweet and musky, curls upwards, blurring the edges of the frescoes on the walls, depicting goddesses with flawless skin and serene expressions. The light, filtered through narrow, high windows, casts long, dancing shadows, making the room feel both sacred and slightly unnerving. You glance down and the liquid isn't white as you might expect, but a rich, opaque cream color, almost shimmering with a subtle pearlescence. You can feel the warmth radiating from it, a comforting heat that promises relaxation, but also holds the weight of millennia of belief. They say donkey milk, rich in lactic acid, was the secret to Cleopatra's legendary youthful glow, her skin as soft and smooth as a lotus petal. You wonder if beneath the myth there was simply a potent exfoliant, a gentle peeling away of the old, rough skin to reveal the new. As you tentatively dip a toe into the milk, the sensation is utterly alien. It's not water. It's thicker, silkier, almost oily. It clings to your skin, a velvety caress that feels both strange and deeply nourishing. The aroma, more concentrated now, fills your nostrils, a blend of farm animal, delicate sweetness, and the lingering presence of the oils and perfumes that have been added. You imagine the royal perfumers, carefully selecting rare petals and resins, grinding them into potent essences, blending them into this milky concoction to mask any lingering unwanted notes and enhance its perceived magical properties. This wasn't just a bath. It was an anointing, a ritual of transformation. You step in, the warm liquid rising around you, enveloping your legs, your torso, your shoulders. The alabaster feels cool and smooth against your back as you lean against the side, allowing your body to float, suspended in this ancient, living lotion. The world outside the bath shrinks, becoming a symphony of soft sounds. The gentle lapping of the milk against the stone, the whisper of palm fronds in a distant garden, the rhythmic creak of a water wheel bringing fresh water to the palace. You feel a strange sense of surrender, letting the thousands of donkeys' essence work its purported magic on your modern, stress-worn skin. The very idea is ludicrous by today's standards. The ethical implications, the sheer waste of resources, the expense. But here, in this moment, it feels utterly natural, utterly regal. Your mind drifts, contemplating the women who would have experienced this very ritual. Cleopatra, of course, but also perhaps her mother or her grandmother or other powerful queens who grasped at every possible advantage in a cutthroat world. Beauty wasn't just aesthetics. It was a tool, a weapon, a symbol of divine favor. A flawless complexion, a radiant glow. These were not merely pleasing to the eye. They communicated health, fertility, power, and desirability. All crucial attributes for a ruler seeking to maintain her throne and her dynasty. You can almost feel the ambition, the desperation for perfection radiating from the very walls of this ancient chamber. As you lie submerged, you consider the contrast with your own beauty routines. Your sterile, chemically engineered products delivered in plastic bottles. Your quick showers, your efficient routines. Here, time stretches, languid and unhurried. Servants might come with delicate cups of spiced wine or fan you with ostrich feathers to maintain the perfect temperature. You are the center of a universe, if only for this hour, and the world bends to your whim, even if that whim is a bath of fermented donkey milk. The thought makes you chuckle softly, a sound that echoes strangely in the ancient chamber. The lactic acid begins its work, a subtle tingling on your skin. It's not unpleasant, but a distinct sensation, as if a million tiny, unseen fingers are gently exfoliating your epidermis. You recall your modern chemical peels, the slight sting, the anticipation of smoother skin. This feels gentler, more organic, more steeped in ritual than science. You imagine the women of that era believing implicitly in the power of nature, in the magic of the animal world, to bestow its virtues upon them. There's a profound connection to the earth, to life itself, in this bath. You feel the weight of history in the water, in the air. This ritual, so strange to your contemporary sensibilities, was a cornerstone of power, a declaration of status. You are literally bathing in luxury, in resources, in the lives of hundreds of animals. And as you finally emerge, your skin feeling surprisingly soft and supple, a faint, lingering aroma of milk and frankincense clinging to you, you realize something profound. True power, especially in the ancient world, often manifested in the control over the seemingly trivial, the ability to turn the absurd into the indispensable. You are clean, yes, but you are also imbued for a fleeting moment with the essence of a queen and the bizarre, beautiful, brutal reality of her world. The warm air outside the bath feels cool on your refreshed skin, and you can almost feel the faint glimmer of a newfound radiance. Or perhaps it's just the enduring magic of a story well told. You dry yourself with linen surprisingly soft, imagining the queen herself being carefully dried and anointed with precious oils. The world beyond your immediate bath feels like a distant hum, your thoughts entirely consumed by the strange, milky embrace you've just experienced. You're no longer in Cleopatra's luxurious chambers. The humid air of Egypt gives way to the dust and heat of ancient Rome, specifically the gladiatorial arena. But you're not in the stands cheering for blood. You're behind the scenes, amidst the grime and sweat of the combatants. The air assaults your senses, the metallic tang of blood, the the earthy smell of damp soil, the sharp, animalistic odor of unwashed men, and the acrid sting of stale sweat. This is not a place of beauty, but of brutal survival, and yet it is here that one of Rome's most powerful empresses, Poppaea Sabina, found a bizarre ingredient for her legendary beauty rituals. You see heavy wooden beams, rough-hewn stone walls, and the occasional glint of sunlight slicing through high, narrow openings. You're standing amongst a group of silent, watchful servants, their faces impassive, holding small, ornate glass vials. You shiver despite the heat as you realize their purpose. The sound of distant roars from the crowd, the clash of steel, the grunt of effort, all echo through the stone corridors. These are the sounds of men fighting for their lives, for the entertainment of a bloodthirsty empire, and for their sweat. Yes, you heard that right. The sweat of gladiators. You try to reconcile the image of a beautiful, refined empress with the raw, visceral reality of this place. It's a stark, brutal contrast that highlights the extreme measures taken in the name of Roman beauty. You watch as a gladiator, a hulking, scarred man, stumbles back into the antechamber after a brutal bout. His body is a map of cuts and bruises, his chest heaving, glistening with a mixture of exertion, fear, and blood. But it's the sweat that holds the servants' gaze. They approach him not with medical aid, but with small curved tools called strigils, traditionally used for scraping oil and dirt from the body after exercise. But here they are used to scrape the essence of the warrior from his very skin. You flinch internally, feeling a bizarre mixture of revulsion and morbid curiosity. The servant carefully, almost delicately, scrapes the glistening sweat from the gladiator's muscular chest and arms, collecting it in one of the tiny glass phials. You can see the dark rivulets mixed with dirt, and perhaps a few drops of blood trickling down the inside of the glass. The gladiator, exhausted and desensitized to such indignities, barely registers their presence. For him, this is merely another aspect of his objectification, his very essence reduced to a commodity. For the empress, this concoction was believed to hold the strength, the virility, the very essence of power and youthful vigor transferred from the warrior to her skin. You imagine Poppaea, wife of Emperor Nero, reclining on a luxurious couch, her skin meticulously cleansed, awaiting this bizarre anointing. You see her attendants, perhaps a slave girl, gently massaging this foul-smelling liquid into her skin. You feel a wave of nausea, imagining the smell, the texture. It wouldn't be a pleasant, perfumed oil. It would be salty, metallic, pungent. Your modern sensibilities scream in protest. You shower multiple times a day, use deodorants, antiperspirants, fragrant body lotions. The idea of applying someone else's raw sweat, let alone a gladiator's, is utterly repulsive. And yet, this was considered a highly prized, almost magical ingredient. The belief systems behind this ritual are fascinating and terrifying. In a world where men fought and died for glory and power, absorbing their essence was a way for women, especially powerful ones, to partake in that virility, that life force. It was a transfer of energy, a symbolic act of appropriation. You ponder the psychological effect on Poppaea herself. Did she genuinely believe it made her stronger, more beautiful? Or was it an act of defiance, a way to assert her dominance and control, even over the most brutal aspects of her husband's empire? You feel the dust gritty beneath your toes, the heat of the arena still radiating from the walls. The scene before you shifts slightly, and you're now in Poppaea's private bathing chamber, a stark contrast to the arena. Here, the air is perfumed with delicate floral essences. The floors are of polished marble, and soft lamplight illuminates intricate mosaics. You see other servants preparing the empress for her ritual. There are bowls of fine chalk, powdered lead, a common and deadly ingredient in Roman cosmetics, and various animal fats. The gladiator sweat, however, is the pièce de résistance. You watch as a servant carefully unstoppered the small glass vial. The pungent, musky odor wafts towards you, making your stomach clench. You see the Empress, her skin already pale from layers of makeup, her eyes sharp and assessing. She extends a delicate arm, and the servant gently massages a small amount of the glistening brownish liquid into her skin. You can almost feel the chill of the rough, salty liquid against your own skin, the sensation of grime being rubbed in rather than washed away. You imagine the Empress's own expression, perhaps a slight grimace, a moment of resolve, or simply a hardened acceptance of what must be done in the name of beauty and power. The ritual isn't just about applying sweat, it's about layering. After the sweat, her skin would be meticulously powdered with chalk or even powdered lead, creating a deathly pale complexion that was highly prized. You consider the weight of this, the deliberate application of toxic substances, the constant exposure to lead poisoning, all for an aesthetic that to your modern eyes might seem sickly and unnatural. Your skin crawls with the phantom itch of these heavy, suffocating layers. You feel a pang of sympathy for these women, trapped by their own cultural definitions of beauty, forced to endure discomfort, even danger, for the sake of appearing perfect. You watch as the Empress's face is transformed, a stark white mask emerging from the shadows. The thick layers of chalk and lead create an almost artificial smoothness, erasing any trace of blemish or imperfection. Her lips would be painted with vermilion, her eyes outlined with kohl, creating a dramatic, almost theatrical effect. This wasn't about natural beauty, it was about creating an idealized, almost sculptural perfection. And the gladiator sweat, in its strange, repulsive way, was believed to be the foundation, the secret ingredient that gave her skin an underlying vitality even beneath the layers of toxic powder. You step back, feeling the ghost of the gladiatorial arena still lingering in the air, mixed with the delicate perfumes of the Empress's chambers. The contrast is jarring, the brutal reality of the source material versus the serene, almost artificial beauty of the final product. You realize that ancient beauty rituals were often deeply intertwined with societal values, power, strength, purity, status. And in Rome, where the arena was the pulsating heart of the empire, it's perhaps not so surprising that the essence of its warriors found its way into the beauty secrets of its empresses. You feel a profound gratitude for your hygienic world, for the easy access to clean water, to safe cosmetics, to the very notion that beauty doesn't have to involve the sweat and blood of others. The stench of the arena, mixed with faint perfume, still lingers in your nostrils as the scene begins to fade, leaving you to ponder the strange, dark paths to power in ancient Rome. The dusty, gladiatorial air of Rome dissipates, replaced by the hushed, incense-laden atmosphere of a Tang Dynasty Chinese palace. The air here is rich with the delicate scent of jasmine, sandalwood, and something subtly earthy, like damp soil after a spring rain. You're in a private chamber, opulent yet serene, with silken tapestries depicting mythical creatures and landscapes adorning the walls. Soft light filters through intricate latticework, casting dappled shadows on polished dark wood and jade ornamentation. This is the domain of Empress Wu Zetian, the only female emperor of China, a woman of extraordinary ambition, intellect, and an equally extraordinary, if somewhat bizarre, approach to preserving her beauty and youthful vigor. Your attention is drawn to a small, lacquered table where an array of precious substances is laid out. Not the blood and sweat of gladiators, but delicate, almost magical ingredients. You see tiny bowls holding finely ground pearls, shimmering with an ethereal luminescence. Another bowl contains a cloudy, yellowish liquid, a concoction known as silkworm water, steeped in ancient tradition. And beside it, a collection of silkworm droppings dried and prepared for medicinal and cosmetic use. You feel a mixture of fascination and gentle repulsion. Pearls, you understand. But silkworm excretions? This is a far cry from your modern collagen creams. A young woman, a palace attendant with nimble fingers and a serene expression, demonstrates the preparation. She takes a pinch of the pearl powder, finer than any flour you've ever felt, and mixes it with a few drops of water, forming a thin, luminous paste. You can almost feel the cool, smooth texture against your fingertips, envisioning it being spread across the empress's delicate skin. Pearl powder, revered in ancient China, was believed not only to whiten the skin but also to regenerate cells, reduce inflammation, and even improve overall health when ingested. You remember hearing about pearl powder in modern skincare, but here it's raw, unprocessed, and steeped in centuries of folklore and imperial demand. The sheer expense, the endless diving for oysters, the meticulous grinding, it's a testament to the lengths one would go for flawless skin, a tangible symbol of imperial wealth and power. Next, the attendant carefully applies a small amount of the silkworm water to the back of her hand. You learn that this liquid is collected from the discarded cocoons of silkworms, rich in sericin, a protein that forms the silk thread and is incredibly moisturizing and protective. You can almost feel the slippery, slightly viscous texture, imagining it gliding over the skin. The smell is faint, slightly earthy, perhaps a little bit like damp leaves. It's not unpleasant, but it's decidedly organic, a natural byproduct of the silk industry repurposed for royal skin. You think of your expensive serums full of hyaluronic acid and peptides and wonder if this ancient, humble liquid held similar, if not superior, properties. The wisdom of ancient Chinese herbalism and alchemy seems to unfold before you. But then your gaze drifts to the bowl of silkworm droppings. Yes, droppings. They are small, dark and pellet-like, dried, and seemingly innocuous. The attendant explains that these, when finely ground and mixed with water or other ingredients, were used as a facial scrub. Rich in amino acids and enzymes, they were believed to exfoliate the skin, remove impurities, and promote a radiant complexion. Your stomach lurches slightly. You're used to microbeads or finely milled seeds in your exfoliants, not insect excrement. The idea of rubbing this on your face makes your skin prickle with a phantom sensation of gritty discomfort and a distinct lack of hygiene. Yet, for an empress seeking every advantage, every secret, no ingredient was too strange, no method too unconventional if it promised eternal beauty. You contemplate Empress Wu Zetian herself, a woman who seized power in a deeply patriarchal society, who ruthlessly eliminated rivals and ruled with an iron fist for decades. For her, beauty wasn't just about vanity, it was an integral part of her imperial persona. A youthful, radiant appearance would project vitality, legitimacy, and a divine mandate to rule. A woman who could command the heavens and earth would surely command her own body to defy the ravages of time. These rituals, therefore, were not merely cosmetic. They were extensions of her power, demonstrations of her control over nature itself. You imagine her in her private chambers, undergoing these daily rituals, the hushed reverence of her attendants, the meticulous application of each ingredient. You can almost feel the cool, silky paste of pearl powder being smoothed onto your own skin, followed by the light, moisturizing touch of silkworm water. Then, the peculiar, slightly rough sensation of the ground silkworm droppings gently massaged into your pores, exfoliating away the impurities of a demanding imperial life. The scents combine, the delicate sweetness of jasmine, the faint earthiness of the silkworm products, and the mineral coolness of the pearl. It's a sensory tapestry woven from ancient beliefs and exotic materials. You think of the sheer dedication required. This wasn't a quick morning routine. It would have been a prolonged meditative process, a daily communion with nature's most exotic offerings. You imagine the empress, her eyes closed, feeling the textures, inhaling the scents, believing in the transformative power of these ingredients. She would be envisioning her skin becoming ever smoother, ever brighter, reflecting the light of her reign. The discipline, the patience, the absolute belief in the efficacy of these bizarre concoctions must have been immense. The setting itself adds to the atmosphere, the quiet palace, the distant sounds of court life, the rustle of silk as attendants move silently. You hear the faint, melodic chime of a distant bell marking the passage of time. Time, the ultimate enemy, for any empress clinging to power, was to be defied, its ravages mitigated by these precious, peculiar rituals. You feel a fleeting sense of empathy for her, despite her ruthless reputation. To be a woman at the pinnacle of power, constantly under scrutiny, constantly fighting for legitimacy, must have been an incredible burden. And in that context, these beauty rituals become less about superficiality and more about survival, about maintaining a powerful image that demanded respect and instilled awe. As the scene gently dissolved, the lingering scent of jasmine and pearl dust remains, a delicate echo of an empress's formidable quest for eternal youth. You find yourself pondering the ingenuity and resourcefulness of ancient cultures, their ability to extract beauty secrets from the most unexpected corners of nature, even from the humble silkworm and its mysterious secretions. Your own skincare routine suddenly feels very plain, very sterile in comparison. You feel the cool, polished jade of the tabletop beneath your phantom fingers, the smoothness of the pearl powder still a sensation on your skin. As you realize the vast, strange chasm between modern beauty and the ancient, imperial pursuit of it. The serene, perfumed air of the Tang dynasty court gives way to the chill, damp stone of a Tudor English palace. The scent shifts dramatically from jasmine and sandalwood to the musty odor of old tapestries, beeswax, and a faint, unsettling metallic tang. You are in a privy chamber, dimly lit by flickering rushlights and a roaring fire in a massive stone hearth. This is the domain of Queen Elizabeth II, the Virgin Queen, a monarch whose iron will and sharp intellect were legendary, but whose physical appearance was increasingly dictated by a deadly beauty standard. And you are about to witness the application of her infamous mask. You watch as a lady in waiting, her face etched with a mixture of reverence and weary resignation, prepares the Queen's cosmetics. On a polished wooden table you see small pots and vials. One holds a thick white paste, ceruse. Made from white lead and vinegar, it was the prized ingredient for achieving the ghostly pallor considered the epitome of aristocratic beauty in Elizabethan England. Another jar contains Venetian mercury, a shimmering quicksilver substance known for its ability to smooth the skin and its highly toxic properties. You feel a prickle of alarm, a modern warning bell ringing loudly in your mind, contrasting sharply with the unsuspecting, diligent actions of the attendant. You recall your own morning routine. A gentle cleanser, a vitamin C serum, a broad-spectrum SPF. You strive for healthy, natural glow, for skin that breathes. Here, the goal is entirely different. A porcelain mask, an impervious facade that communicated purity, status, and an almost ethereal, unblemished perfection. Elizabeth's face, scarred by smallpox in her youth, made this pursuit even more fervent, a desperate attempt to erase any sign of imperfection or weakness. For a queen, even a single pockmark could be seen as a flaw in her divine right to rule. The lady-in-waiting carefully takes a spoonful of the ceruse paste. You can almost feel its thick, creamy texture, cool and heavy on your skin. The faint, vinegar-like scent of it, mingled with the earthy smell of lead, makes your nostrils twitch. This wasn't a light, breathable foundation. It was a dense, suffocating layer designed to obscure every freckle, every wrinkle, every telltale sign of aging or illness. You imagine the Empress's face being completely painted over, an artist's canvas transforming her natural features into an idealized, almost inhuman mask. You feel a phantom weight settle onto your own skin, a sensation of pores being clogged, of the skin struggling to breathe beneath a suffocating veil of poison. Next comes the mercury. You see the lady-in-waiting, with extreme caution, dip a tiny brush into the shimmering liquid metal. Mercury, then, was lauded for its ability to lighten skin, remove blemishes, and even, it was thought, to smooth wrinkles. But the cost was immense: neurological damage, tremors, hair loss, tooth decay, and ultimately, madness and death. You shudder, feeling the cold dread of knowing what these women did not. This was beauty at the ultimate, unseen price. You can almost taste the metallic tang in the air, a phantom sensation of poison entering your system. You imagine the Empress enduring this daily ritual. The careful application, the precise layering, the way the lead paste would crack and flake over hours, requiring constant touch-ups, revealing the pale, sickly skin beneath. You recall portraits of Elizabeth I, her face a stark white, her eyes dark and piercing, her lips a vivid, artificial red. This wasn't merely a stylistic choice. It was a physical manifestation of her power, her control over her own image, her defiance of aging and mortality. She had to remain the Virgin Queen, untouched by time or corruption, even as her body slowly succumbed to the very ingredients she used to maintain that image. You watch as the lady-in-waiting, with practiced ease, applies the thick ceruse to the Empress's waiting face. You feel the coolness of the paste as it spreads, obscuring your natural skin tone, creating an unyielding, artificial pallor. It feels strangely heavy, a mask rather than a cosmetic. The mirror before you, made of polished silver, reflects a distorted, ghostly image. You see your eyes, wide and unnerved, peering out from this unsettling white canvas. Then the mercury, applied with delicate brush strokes, perhaps near the eyes or on specific blemishes. You feel a phantom tingling, a subtle burning sensation, as if the very life is being drawn out of your skin, leaving behind a smooth, unnaturally pale surface. The Empress's hair would be pulled back severely, often revealing a high, plucked forehead, considered a mark of intelligence and noble birth. You feel a phantom tug on your hairline, the uncomfortable sensation of hairs being plucked, one by one, to achieve this fashionable, almost bald aesthetic. Her natural hair, often thinning and discolored from the lead, would be hidden under elaborate wigs of bright red or auburn, often adorned with pearls and jewels. You envision the weighty, itchy feeling of such a wig, the confinement of your scalp, the constant worry of it shifting or falling off during a state affair. You reflect on the sacrifice. The Empress, a figure of immense strength and authority, was simultaneously a prisoner of her era's beauty standards. Her pale face, a symbol of purity and status, was also a slow-acting poison, dulling her senses, weakening her mind, perhaps even contributing to her famous temperamental outbursts. You wonder how much of her later irrationality, her increasing paranoia, could be attributed to the insidious daily assault of lead and mercury on her system. The historical record tells us of her deteriorating health, her increasing secrecy about her appearance, her refusal to be painted without specific instructions to the artists. You feel a deep sadness for this powerful woman, forced to choose between the perceived power of her image and the very real dangers to her health. As the image of Elizabeth, a ghostly figure in her elaborate ruff and rich gown, begins to fade, you are left with a profound sense of the true cost of historical beauty. Your own skin, unharmed and breathing, feels almost rebellious in its natural state. The metallic scent, faint but persistent, still lingers, a ghostly reminder of the silent, deadly rituals performed in the name of power and an unattainable ideal. You rub your face, feeling the warmth of your own living skin, grateful for the advances that allow you to enhance your appearance without risking your sanity or your life. The ghostly pallor of the Elizabethan court melts away, leaving a stark appreciation for modern health and safety. Segment 5. Catherine de' Medici's alluring poison. Belladonna and saffron. The cold, lead-laced air of Tudor England dissipates, replaced by the sun-drenched yet equally shadowed court of Renaissance France. The scents are richer here, fragrant herbs, expensive perfumes, the faint, sweet sickly aroma of decaying flowers, and a subtle, unsettling bitterness that you can't quite place. You are in a grand, richly appointed chamber, heavy with velvet and brocade, but there's an undercurrent of intrigue, of danger, that chills you more than any English draught. This is the world of Catherine de' Medici, Queen of France, a cunning, influential figure, infamous for her political machinations and her equally perilous beauty secrets. Your attention is drawn to a small, delicate vial barely larger than your thumb, made of exquisite Venetian glass. Inside, a dark, viscous liquid shimmers. This is belladonna, or deadly nightshade, a plant whose berries and leaves are potent poisons. Yet in Catherine's time, it was also a prized cosmetic. A servant, her hands trembling ever so slightly, holds the vial with a reverence usually reserved for sacred relics. You feel an immediate wave of unease, a deep, primal fear of something so beautiful, yet so utterly lethal. You learn that a single drop of this potent liquid, placed in each eye, would dilate the pupils, making the eyes appear larger, darker, and more alluring. The name Belladonna literally means beautiful lady in Italian, a macabre nod to its cosmetic effect. You close your eyes for a moment, imagining the sensation, a sudden searing sting, followed by an unnerving blurring of vision. You think of your modern contact lenses, your precisely formulated eye drops, all designed for comfort and clarity. This, by contrast, is a deliberate act of self-poisoning for the sake of an aesthetic. You envision Catherine, a woman born into a powerful Italian family, transplanted to a French court rife with suspicion and rivalry. Her beauty was a tool, a means to exert influence, to captivate, to distract from her foreignness and her perceived weaknesses. Large, luminous eyes, wide and seemingly innocent, would have been a powerful asset in a court where every glance, every gesture carried hidden meaning. The belladonna, therefore, was not merely a vanity item. It was a psychological weapon, a silent enhancer of her political charisma. You imagine the feeling as the drop hits your eye, a sudden, sharp pain, a fleeting sense of fear. Then, a strange, blooming sensation as your pupils begin to widen, allowing more light in, blurring the edges of the room. The world around you becomes a little less distinct, a little more dreamlike, objects losing their sharp outlines. You feel a strange vulnerability, a loss of control over your own vision, all for the sake of an alluring gaze. You remember the slight sting of your contact lens solution, or the refreshing feel of artificial tears. This is a deliberate chemical assault, an act of self-blinding, even if temporary, for the sake of perceived beauty. The side effects would have been immediate and profound. Extreme light sensitivity, making daylight unbearable. Blurred vision, making reading or fine needlework impossible. And headaches, a constant throbbing reminder of the poison coursing through your system. You picture Catherine, navigating the intricate dances of court, her eyes wide and captivating, yet inwardly battling a persistent headache and a world that appeared perpetually out of focus. The sheer dedication to maintain this facade is astounding, a testament to the pressures faced by women in positions of power. But belladonna wasn't her only bizarre secret. Your gaze shifts to another bowl, this one filled with vibrant crimson threads, saffron. A spice more valuable than gold in many ancient cultures, saffron was used not just for cooking, but also as a powerful cosmetic. Not for the eyes, but for the skin and hair. You watch as a different servant, her movements more confident, mixes a small amount of saffron with honey and rosewater, forming a golden-orange paste. This concoction was believed to lighten the skin, add a subtle golden glow, and even tint the hair a fashionable auburn. You can almost smell the exotic, slightly bittersweet aroma of the saffron, mingling with the delicate fragrance of roses. You feel the paste being gently smoothed onto your skin, a warm, slightly sticky sensation, the fine threads of saffron tickling your face. You compare it to your modern, turmeric-based face masks, but this is far more potent, more steeped in ancient lore and immense cost. You imagine the long hours of processing, harvesting the delicate saffron threads from crocuses, a labor-intensive process that made it one of the most expensive commodities in the world. Then grinding, mixing, applying. These weren't quick fixes. They were elaborate, time-consuming rituals that spoke of wealth, patience, and access to the rarest of ingredients, the saffron paste. While less immediately dangerous than belladonna, still had its peculiarities. It could stain the skin, leaving a subtle yellow tint that, while fashionable, could also look jaundiced if applied incorrectly or too heavily. And the constant exposure to such a potent dye meant that Catherine's skin and hair would have gradually absorbed the color, making her appearance uniquely her own. You feel the faint, warm stain on your skin, a golden hue that contrasts sharply with the pallor of Elizabeth I's ceruse. Each queen, a reflection of her cultural beauty ideals. You think of Catherine, a woman who survived the brutal realities of Renaissance politics through sheer will and intelligence. These beauty rituals, both the perilous and the precious, were part of her toolkit. The belladonna to mesmerize, the saffron to project a golden, healthy glow amidst the dark intrigues of court. She understood the power of appearance, the silent language it spoke to her allies and her enemies. The opulent chamber begins to dissolve, the heavy velvet drapes softening, the light growing dimmer. You feel the fading sting of belladonna in your phantom eyes, the lingering, slightly sticky warmth of saffron on your skin. The air still holds that subtle, unsettling bitterness, a whisper of poison amidst the perfume. You are left with the chilling realization that for some of history's most powerful women, beauty was not a gentle art, but a dangerous game, played with deadly precision, where the allure of a captivating gaze or a golden glow could literally mean the difference between life and death, power and irrelevance. You find yourself blinking, trying to clear the phantom blur from your vision, and are immensely grateful for the safety and benignity of your modern cosmetics. The intrigue and poisons of Catherine de' Medici's court fade, replaced by the glittering, extravagant, and utterly over-the-top world of pre-revolutionary Versailles. The air now is thick with the cloying sweetness of perfumed powder, the faint smell of beeswax, and the unique animalic odor of unwashed hair hidden beneath towering creations. You are in a vast, ornate dressing room, sunlight streaming through tall windows, glinting off gilded furniture and crystal chandeliers. This is the realm of Marie Antoinette, Queen of France, a figure synonymous with aristocratic excess, and a woman whose beauty rituals were as much about theatre and fashion as they were about personal adornment. Your gaze is immediately drawn to the most astounding sight, a colossal wig standing on a porcelain head, reaching incredible heights. This isn't just a hairstyle, it's an architectural marvel, a sculptural masterpiece. You see the intricate framework beneath the human hair, often horsehair or wool, carefully constructed from wire and padding. Ribbons, feathers, miniature ships, entire garden scenes, and even representations of current events would be woven into these gravity-defying creations. You feel a strange mix of awe and bewildered amusement, trying to imagine the sheer discomfort of wearing such a thing. You watch as a group of skilled coiffeurs, their hands deft and experienced, begin to assemble another one of these towering structures. They layer hair, both natural and false, onto a wireframe, meticulously shaping and securing it with pins and unseen internal supports. The process is lengthy, painstaking, and requires an incredible amount of patience, both from the stylist and the wearer. You think of your own easy hairstyles, the quick blow-dry, the simple ponytail. This is an art form, a symbol of extreme wealth and status, a defiant declaration against simplicity. The intrigue and poisons of Catherine de Medici's court fade, replaced by the glittering, extravagant, and utterly over-the-top world of pre-revolutionary Versailles. The air now is thick with the cloying sweetness of perfumed powder, the faint smell of beeswax, and the unique animalic odor of unwashed hair hidden beneath towering creations. You are in a vast, ornate dressing room, sunlight streaming through tall windows, glinting off gilded furniture and crystal chandeliers. This is the realm of Marie Antoinette, Queen of France, a figure synonymous with aristocratic excess, and a woman whose beauty rituals were as much about theatre and fashion as they were about personal adornment. Your gaze is immediately drawn to the most astounding sight, a colossal wig standing on a porcelain head, reaching incredible heights. This isn't just a hairstyle. It's an architectural marvel, a sculptural masterpiece. You see the intricate framework beneath the human hair, often horsehair or wool, carefully constructed from wire and padding. Ribbons, feathers, miniature ships, entire garden scenes, and even representations of current events would be woven into these gravity-defying creations. You feel a strange mix of awe and bewildered amusement, trying to imagine the sheer discomfort of wearing such a thing. You watch as a group of skilled coiffeurs, their hands deft and experienced, begin to assemble another one of these towering structures. They layer hair, both natural and false, onto a wireframe, meticulously shaping and securing it with pins and unseen internal supports. The process is lengthy, painstaking, and requires an incredible amount of patience, both from the stylist and the wearer. You think of your own easy hairstyles, the quick blow-dry, the simple ponytail. This is an art form, a symbol of extreme wealth and status, a defiant declaration against simplicity. Then comes the powder, or poudre. Large, fluffy puffs are dipped into bowls of finely milled white powder, often flour, rice starch, or sometimes even scented talc. This isn't just for a subtle dusting. It's a full-on theatrical whiteout. You can almost feel the fine particles tickling your nostrils, landing on your clothes, creating a constant, pervasive cloud in the room. The coiffeurs meticulously powder every strand of hair, every crevice of the elaborate coiffure, turning it into a pristine white edifice. The aim is to achieve a stark, artificial pallor that contrasts dramatically with painted cheeks and lips. You feel a phantom itch on your scalp, a sense of immense weight and confinement. Imagine wearing a structure like this for days on end, sleeping upright or on special pillows to preserve its form. The thought of the hygiene involved, or rather, the lack thereof, makes your modern skin crawl. These wigs, powdered and perfumed, would attract dust, dirt, and worse, lice and mites. You imagine the constant, subtle irritation, the quiet indignity beneath the facade of grandeur. It's a stark reminder that even the most extravagant beauty could come with a brutal, hidden cost. The Queen herself would undergo this ritual, sitting patiently for hours while her hair was teased, powdered, and adorned. You imagine Marie Antoinette, young and vivacious, initially delighting in the novelty and daring of these styles, pushing the boundaries of fashion. But you also envision the later weariness, the pressure to constantly innovate, to maintain the image of an eternal trendsetter, all while the murmurs of discontent grew louder outside the palace walls. Her hair, in a very real sense, became a political statement, a symbol of royal disconnect from the burgeoning poverty of her people. As the coiffeurs work, they describe the various ingredients used to set and scent the hair. Pomades made from animal fats, often lard, would be applied to hold the hair in place, a greasy, heavy base for the powder. Perfumes, often sickly sweet and heavy with musk, would be sprayed generously to mask the inevitable odors of stale hair and fat. You feel the stickiness of the pomade, the fine dust of the powder, the cloying sweetness of the perfume, all combining to create a sensory overload that is both fascinating and deeply uncomfortable. You also learn about the poufs au sentiment, or poufs with sentiments, where small, elaborate scenes or objects symbolizing personal affections, current events, or even political statements would be incorporated into the hair. A miniature ship representing a naval victory, a cradle to celebrate a birth, a tiny garden with real flowers. You gaze at one such example, a delicate scene of a pastoral picnic woven into the powdered hair, complete with tiny porcelain figures. The artistry is undeniable, but the practicality is bewildering. This wasn't about enhancing natural beauty. It was about transforming oneself into a walking, talking tableau, a living work of art. You try to imagine going about your daily life with such a precarious, enormous structure on your head. The careful navigation through doorways, the constant fear of it being knocked askew, the sheer effort of balancing such a weight. You recall your own minor frustrations with a bad hair day or a stray strand. This is an entirely different level of commitment, a daily battle against gravity and convention, all for the sake of fashion. The powdered faces would be next. After the hair, a similar white powder would be applied to the face, neck, and décolletage, creating a stark, almost theatrical pallor. Then, artificial beauty spots, or mouches, cut from velvet or silk, would be strategically placed to highlight features or conceal blemishes. You feel the coolness of the powder on your face, the slight tug of a velvet patch being carefully applied near your eye. Your modern mind rebels against this deliberate artificiality, this mask of whiteness, but here, it is the height of sophistication, the very definition of allure. As the opulent dressing room begins to fade, the air still thick with the ghost of sweet powder and stale perfume. You are left with a lingering sense of the absurd magnificence of Versailles. Marie Antoinette's beauty rituals were less about personal care and more about public performance, a desperate attempt to maintain an image of effortless grandeur amidst a crumbling empire. You rub your own hair, feeling its lightness, its natural movement, and are immensely grateful for the freedom from such towering, itchy, and potentially pest-ridden burdens. The silent, suffocating presence of all that powder and pomade leaves a deep impression on your senses. As the opulent dressing room begins to fade, the air still thick with the ghost of sweet powder and stale perfume. You are left with a lingering sense of the absurd magnificence of Versailles. Marie Antoinette's beauty rituals were less about personal care and more about public performance, a desperate attempt to maintain an image of effortless grandeur amidst a crumbling empire. You rub your own hair, feeling its lightness, its natural movement, and are immensely grateful for the freedom from such towering, itchy, and potentially pest-ridden burdens. The silent, suffocating presence of all that powder and pomade leaves a deep impression on your senses. The powdered extravagance of Versailles recedes, replaced by the crisp mountain air and understated grandeur of an Austrian imperial summer palace. The scent is cleaner here, less cloying, notes of pine, fresh linen, and a peculiar, slightly gamey odor that you can't quite place. You are in a private dressing room, vast and elegant, yet imbued with a sense of melancholic seclusion. This is the intensely personal world of Empress Elizabeth. Sisi, of Austria, a woman of legendary beauty and profound unhappiness, whose obsession with maintaining her youthful appearance drove her to some truly bizarre and uncomfortable rituals. Your gaze falls upon a porcelain basin where a strange, reddish substance is being prepared. It's not a common cosmetic, nor is it a simple fruit mask. You lean closer, and the gamey smell intensifies. You realize with a start that it is raw veal, cut into incredibly thin slices. A servant, her expression stoic, meticulously lays these slices onto a fine silk cloth, arranging them to perfectly fit a human face. This, you learn, is Sisi's famous veal mask, a bizarre and surprisingly frequent part of her beauty regimen. You recoil slightly, imagining the cold, damp, fleshy texture of raw meat on your face, the faint, metallic scent of blood. You think of your own face masks, clay, sheet, gel. They are perfumed, cooling, and often promise botanical wonders. This, by contrast, is primal, visceral, and utterly unappetizing. The belief was that the raw meat would plump the skin, reduce wrinkles, and impart a youthful elasticity. You wonder about the logic behind it, the desperate hope that lay beneath this uncomfortable ritual. For an empress whose entire identity was tied to her beauty and her freedom, aging was an enemy to be fought with every unconventional weapon available. You imagine Sisi, famously sensitive and prone to melancholy, lying for hours with raw meat clinging to her face. The sensation of it, the cold, then lukewarm, then slightly drying flesh, would be a constant, oppressive presence. The smell, faint yet persistent, would mingle with the expensive perfume she wore. You feel a phantom weight on your own cheeks, the chilling stickiness, the biological oddness of it. It's a profound invasion of the senses, a brutal reminder of the lengths she would go to maintain her image. But the veal mask was just one part of her meticulous, almost obsessive routine. Her hair, famously long enough to reach her ankles, was her crowning glory, a cascade of dark chestnut that she treated with almost religious fervor. You see another servant painstakingly brushing out a sample of hair, strands so fine they feel like spun silk. The care and attention given to it are extraordinary. You learn that her hair-washing ritual was a monthly, all-day affair. It involved washing her hair with a mixture of raw eggs and cognac, a bizarre cocktail for your scalp. You can almost smell the distinct, slightly pungent aroma of raw egg yolks mingled with the sharp, alcoholic tang of brandy as a servant demonstrates the preparation. You imagine the messy process, the thick, viscous liquid being massaged into your scalp, coating every strand. The sensation would be strangely slimy, then cloying, then perhaps a little sticky as it began to dry. You think of your modern shampoos, light and foamy, smelling of fruits or flowers. This is raw, organic, and incredibly labor-intensive. After the wash, her hair would be rinsed with herbal infusions and then painstakingly dried, a process that could take an entire day. You feel the weight of such long, wet hair, the slow, agonizing process of drying it without the aid of modern blow dryers. Servants would use linen towels, gently blotting, then perhaps fanning it for hours in front of a warm fireplace. The constant tugging, the careful detangling, the sheer amount of time consumed by this single ritual. It speaks volumes about her dedication to her appearance. You imagine the Empress perhaps reading or writing, but always tethered to the slow, relentless process of her hair care. You also learn about her hairnet routine. At night, after hours of brushing, often with brushes made of boar bristles, which you can almost feel scratching against your scalp, her hair would be carefully braided and wrapped in fine silk to prevent tangling and damage. You feel the gentle tug of the braids, the smooth coolness of the silk against your scalp, a comforting sensation after the day's ordeal. This, at least, seems a more benign and practical ritual. Cece's beauty regimen extended beyond masks and hair. Her diet was equally bizarre and restrictive. She would consume only oranges for days, or a liquid diet of beef broth and raw eggs. She was perpetually laced into a corset so tight it often left her breathless, determined to maintain a minuscule waistline. You feel the phantom constriction around your ribs, the difficulty in taking a full, deep breath, the constant pressure of whalebone against your flesh. It's a physical torture, a continuous reminder of the societal expectations placed upon her. You gaze around the dressing room, seeing the remnants of these rituals, the discarded silk cloth that held the veil, the faint musky scent of egg and cognac, the polished hairbrushes laid out on a velvet cloth. Each item tells a story of an empress driven by an almost pathological need for perfection, a woman who sought control over her appearance in a world where she felt she had little control over her destiny. Her beauty was her armor, her defense against the crushing weight of imperial expectations, and her own profound sense of longing for freedom. As the Austrian palace begins to blur, the faint, gamey scent of raw meat and the subtle aroma of cognac linger in your senses. You are left with a deep impression of Cece's intense, often painful dedication to her beauty. You touch your own hair, feeling its lightness, its freedom, and are profoundly grateful for the ease and comfort of your modern beauty practices. The weight of her elaborate hair and the chilling memory of the veil mask remain, a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made in the pursuit of an unattainable, tragic ideal. But the veil mask was just one part of her meticulous, almost obsessive routine. Her hair, famously long enough to reach her ankles, was her crowning glory, a cascade of dark chestnut that she treated with almost religious fervor. You see another servant painstakingly brushing out a sample of hair, strands so fine they feel like spun silk. The care and attention given to it are extraordinary. You learn that her hair-washing ritual was a monthly, all-day affair. It involved washing her hair with a mixture of raw eggs and cognac, a bizarre cocktail for your scalp. You can almost smell the distinct, slightly pungent aroma of raw egg yolks mingled with the sharp, alcoholic tang of brandy as a servant demonstrates the preparation. You imagine the messy process, the thick, viscous liquid being massaged into your scalp, coating every strand. The sensation would be strangely slimy, then cloying, then perhaps a little sticky as it began to dry. You think of your modern shampoos, light and foamy, smelling of fruits or flowers. This is raw, organic, and incredibly labor-intensive. After the wash, her hair would be rinsed with herbal infusions and then painstakingly dried, a process that could take an entire day. You feel the weight of such long, wet hair, the slow, agonizing process of drying it without the aid of modern blow dryers. Servants would use linen towels, gently blotting, then perhaps fanning it for hours in front of a warm fireplace. The constant tugging, the careful detangling, the sheer amount of time consumed by this single ritual. It speaks volumes about her dedication to her appearance. You imagine the Empress perhaps reading or writing, but always tethered to the slow, relentless process of her hair care. You also learn about her hairnet routine. At night, after hours of brushing, often with brushes made of boar bristles, which you can almost feel scratching against your scalp, her hair would be carefully braided and wrapped in fine silk to prevent tangling and damage. You feel the gentle tug of the braids, the smooth coolness of the silk against your scalp, a comforting sensation after the day's ordeal. This, at least, seems a more benign and practical ritual. Cece's beauty regimen extended beyond masks and hair. Her diet was equally bizarre and restrictive. She would consume only oranges for days, or a liquid diet of beef broth and raw eggs. She was perpetually laced into a corset so tight it often left her breathless, determined to maintain a minuscule waistline. You feel the phantom constriction around your ribs, the difficulty in taking a full, deep breath, the constant pressure of whalebone against your flesh. It's a physical torture, a continuous reminder of the societal expectations placed upon her. You gaze around the dressing room, seeing the remnants of these rituals, the discarded silk cloth that held the veil, the faint musky scent of egg and cognac, the polished hairbrushes laid out on a velvet cloth. Each item tells a story of an empress driven by an almost pathological need for perfection, a woman who sought control over her appearance in a world where she felt she had little control over her destiny. Her beauty was her armor, her defense against the crushing weight of imperial expectations, and her own profound sense of longing for freedom. As the Austrian palace begins to blur, the faint, gamey scent of raw meat and the subtle aroma of cognac linger in your senses. You are left with a deep impression of Cece's intense, often painful dedication to her beauty. You touch your own hair, feeling its lightness, its freedom, and are profoundly grateful for the ease and comfort of your modern beauty practices. The weight of her elaborate hair and the chilling memory of the veil mask remain, a poignant reminder of the sacrifices made in the pursuit of an unattainable, tragic ideal. The clean yet melancholic air of Cece's Austrian palace dissipates, replaced by the humid, woodsy scent of ancient Japan. You are no longer amidst European opulence, but within the refined, understated elegance of a Heian-era court lady's chamber. The air is heavy with the scent of burning incense, powdered rice, and a peculiar, slightly metallic tang that makes you wrinkle your nose. This is the world of the Japanese imperial court, a place of exquisite aesthetics, delicate poetry, and some truly remarkable beauty rituals, utterly alien to your modern sensibilities. Your gaze is immediately drawn to a small, lacquered box on a low table. Inside, a dark, gleaming substance sits, accompanied by a tiny brush and a toothpick-like applicator. This, you learn with a growing sense of unease, is ohaguro, the tradition of blackening teeth. You think of your pearly white smile, the daily brushing, the whitening strips. Here, the ideal of beauty is the exact opposite. You feel a strange sense of cognitive dissonance, a profound cultural clash. A court lady, her face a serene mask of rice powder, demonstrates the ritual. She carefully dips the brush into the ohaguro, a mixture typically made from iron filings dissolved in vinegar, combined with gallnut powder, tea, or sake. The resulting liquid is thick, jet black, and slightly viscous. She then painstakingly paints the black liquid onto her teeth, covering every surface, transforming her smile into a dark, uniform void. You flinch internally, imagining the taste, the metallic tang, the slight bitterness, the feeling of painting your teeth black. You recall the historical context. In Heian, Japan, a pale, powdered face was the height of beauty. Blackened teeth provided a striking contrast, making the face appear even whiter, almost luminous. It also symbolized maturity, status, and commitment, as it was a painful and time-consuming process. The ohaguro would last for a few days, requiring regular reapplication, often on rising, as part of an elaborate morning ritual. You think of your quick morning brush, the minty freshness. This is a deliberate daily act of transforming your very smile into a symbol of elegance and detachment. You feel a phantom coating on your own teeth, the strange sensation of a thick, inky liquid adhering to the enamel. The mirror before you, made of polished bronze, reflects a dark, unnerving smile, a stark contrast to your modern ideals. You try to speak, and the words feel muffled, as if your mouth is filled with something foreign. The scent of vinegar and metal is strong, lingering on your tongue. It's a profoundly uncomfortable and alien experience. But ohaguro was only one aspect of Heian beauty. Your attention shifts to another ritual equally baffling to the modern eye, the shaving of eyebrows and then drawing them on higher, thicker, and often in a distinct cloud or caterpillar shape, known as hikimayu. You think of your meticulously groomed brows, the plucking, the filling, the shaping to enhance your natural arch. Here, the natural brow is entirely eradicated. You watch as the same court lady, with a small, sharp blade, carefully shaves off her natural eyebrows. The movements are precise, delicate, but the act itself is brutal. You feel a phantom tugging, a sharp, stinging sensation as the tiny hairs are scraped away. The skin beneath appears startlingly smooth, almost childlike. Then, using a fine brush and sumi ink, the same ink used for calligraphy, she meticulously paints on new, stylized eyebrows high on her forehead. They are thick, dark, and often positioned significantly higher than natural, creating an ethereal, almost otherworldly expression. You imagine the feeling of having no eyebrows, the vulnerability, the strangeness. Then, the feeling of ink being painted onto your skin, the cool, wet sensation, the slight stiffness as it dries. These painted brows aren't meant to be realistic. They are highly stylized and artistic statement, a symbol of refined taste and leisure. A woman who had time for such elaborate rituals was clearly of high status, free from manual labor or outdoor exposure that might darken her skin or spoil her delicate features. You consider the psychology behind these rituals. They are not about enhancing natural features, but about transforming them, creating an artificial, idealized aesthetic. The black teeth made the smile more mysterious, less toothy in a pale face. The shaved and repainted brows depersonalized the face, creating a serene, almost mask-like appearance that conveyed detachment and aristocratic elegance. For a court lady in a world governed by strict rules of etiquette and appearance, these rituals were paramount. They were a language of beauty, understood and admired by her peers, a silent declaration of her status and refinement. You feel a subtle discomfort in your own expression, a sense of having your face rearranged, your natural features erased and replaced. The scent of rice powder, faint and sweet, mixes with the metallic tang of ohaguro and the earthy smell of sumi ink. It's a complex sensory experience, both beautiful and unsettling. As the Heian chamber begins to fade, the images of dark, enigmatic smiles and ethereal painted eyebrows linger. You are left with a profound appreciation for the diversity of human beauty ideals and a keen sense of how profoundly culture shapes our perceptions of what is attractive. You touch your own teeth, feeling their smooth white surface, and then your eyebrows, noting their natural, unstylized form. The lingering phantom taste of metal and the faint, ghostly feeling of painted ink remind you of a world where beauty was a deliberate, often painful, act of artistic transformation. A stark contrast to your modern quest for natural enhancement. The ethereal, powdered world of Heian Japan gives way to the steamy, fragrant embrace of an Ottoman hammam. The air is thick with moisture, heavy with the scent of rosewater, olive oil soap, and a distinct, slightly acrid tang that hints at a powerful chemical process. You are no longer in a private chamber, but in a grand, domed bathhouse filled with the echoing sounds of splashing water, soft murmurs, and the gentle scraping of metal on stone. This is the domain of the Ottoman Sultan's harem, a place of sensuality, intrigue, and rigorous beauty rituals, particularly focused on achieving impossibly smooth, hairless skin. Your eyes adjust to the soft, diffused light filtering through small, star-shaped apertures in the dome above. Marble surfaces gleam, slick with water and steam. You see women, beautiful and diverse, attended by numerous bathmaids, their bodies being scrubbed, massaged, and pampered. This isn't just a bath. It's a sacred ritual, a multi-hour transformation that prepares the women of the harem for their esteemed roles, whether as concubines, wives, or mothers of future sultans. Physical perfection, particularly the absence of body hair, was paramount. Your attention is drawn to a small, ornate bowl where a thick, yellow-green paste is being prepared. This, you learn, is rusma, a powerful depilatory cream. Made from quicklime, calcium oxide, and arsenic trisulfide mixed with water to form a potent chemical paste, it was the preferred method for achieving perfectly smooth, hairless skin. You feel a prickle of unease, a modern alarm bell clanging loudly in your mind. Arsenic, quicklime. These are harsh, dangerous chemicals, yet here they are applied directly to the skin for beauty. You watch as a bathmaid, her hands gloved or protected, carefully applies the rusma paste to a woman's leg. The smell of it, a pungent, sulphurous odor, wafts towards you, stinging your nostrils. You feel a phantom burning sensation on your own skin, imagining the chemical reaction, the quicklime dissolving the hair at the root, the arsenic working its slow, insidious way into the pores. This is not a gentle wax nor a quick shave. This is a chemical assault on the body, a deliberate act of subjecting oneself to discomfort, even danger, for the sake of an aesthetic. You recall your own hair removal routines, shaving creams, depilatories that promise gentle action, laser treatments. All are designed for comfort and safety. Here, the emphasis is on efficacy, regardless of the discomfort. You imagine the pain, the tingling, the burning sensation as the paste works its magic. The quicklime would be incredibly corrosive, causing irritation, redness, and even chemical burns if left on for too long. The bathmaids would have to be incredibly skilled, knowing precisely when to remove the paste before it caused severe damage. You feel a profound sense of sympathy for these women, trapped by the beauty standards of their time, subjected to such harsh treatments. Their bodies were not entirely their own. They were vessels, objects of desire, and their perfection was a prerequisite for their survival and advancement within the complex hierarchy of the harem. Hairlessness, in particular, was seen as a mark of purity, cleanliness, and desirability, distinguishing them from the common women outside the palace walls. After the depilatory, the skin would be meticulously rinsed and then soothed with rich olive oils, scented with rose and jasmine. You imagine the cooling, calming sensation of the oil, easing the sting of the chemicals, restoring moisture to the assaulted skin. You feel the smooth, velvety texture of the oil being massaged into your limbs, smelling the soothing floral notes that strive to mask the acrid scent of the rusma. It's a delicate balance, the brutality of the depilatory followed by the luxurious embrace of restorative oils. But the hammam ritual was about more than just hair removal. It was a holistic cleansing. You see women being vigorously scrubbed with kezi mitts, coarse cloths that remove dead skin cells. You feel a phantom scrubbing sensation on your own skin, the satisfying abrasion, the feeling of impurities being sloughed away, revealing fresh, new skin beneath. The steam, the heat, the constant flow of water all contribute to a deep sense of purification. You imagine the sheer pleasure of emerging from such a bath, feeling utterly clean, renewed, and unbelievably smooth. Then there were the hair dyes and henna. For hair on the head, rich, dark dyes made from natural ingredients like indigo or henna would be applied, ensuring lustrous, uniformly colored locks. Henna was also used to adorn hands and feet with intricate temporary patterns, a mark of celebration and beauty. You feel the cool, slightly grainy paste of henna being applied to your skin, the earthy, slightly sweet scent rising into your nostrils. You imagine the intricate patterns, the hours of careful application, and the vibrant, reddish-brown stain that would linger for weeks. As the steamy, fragrant hammam begins to recede, the contrasting sensations linger, the burning sting of the depilatory, followed by the soothing caress of rose-scented oil, the vigorous scrub of the kizeh and the cooling touch of henna. You are left with a deep appreciation for the complex beauty rituals of the Ottoman harem, a world where sensuality and cleanliness were paramount. but where the pursuit of perfection often involved harsh and even dangerous methods. You touch your own smooth skin, grateful for modern, less volatile hair removal techniques, and ponder the sacrifices made by women to conform to powerful, often unforgiving, cultural ideals of beauty. The ghost of that pungent, sulphurous odor still clings to your phantom senses. The steamy, fragrant hammam dissolves, replaced by the warm, humid air of the Mesoamerican highland. The scent is utterly new to you: rich earth, damp jungle foliage, the smoky aroma of cooking fires, and a faint, sweet tart fruitiness. You are in a sun-dappled courtyard within a grand, adobe palace in the heart of the Aztec Empire. This is the vibrant, colorful world of Aztec noblewomen, whose beauty rituals were deeply intertwined with their reverence for nature, their gods, and their unique understanding of the earth's bounty. Your gaze is drawn to a group of women, their skin already a rich, earthy tone, adorned with intricate patterns and vibrant colors. This isn't about whitening or lightening. It's about enhancement, about connection to the land and the cosmos. On a stone grinding slab, you see a small heap of what appears to be dried insects. These, you learn, are cochineal beetles painstakingly harvested from cacti. When crushed, they yield an incredibly vibrant, rich crimson dye. You recall seeing cochineal listed as a natural food coloring today, but here it's a direct, raw ingredient for beauty. You watch as a skilled artisan, her hands stained red, grinds the dried beetles with a pestle, releasing a shockingly intense carmine pigment. The smell is subtle, slightly earthy, almost like dried leaves, but the color is electric. This pigment was used to paint lips, cheeks, and intricate designs on the body, symbolizing status, tribal affiliation, and readiness for ceremonial events. You feel a phantom brushstroke of the vibrant crimson on your own lips, a stark, powerful color that contrasts with the subtle, often pale hues of European cosmetics. You imagine the feeling of the thick, slightly gritty paste of cochineal on your skin. It would be cooling at first, then drying to a matte finish, leaving a bold, indelible mark. This wasn't about subtle enhancement. It was about making a statement, about embodying the vibrant spirit of the natural world. For Aztec noblewomen, beauty was an expression of power, a connection to the divine, and a reflection of their place within a complex social hierarchy. Next, your attention is drawn to other plant-based dyes. Bowls hold rich blues derived from indigo, vibrant yellows from marigold petals, and deep greens from various leaves and roots. These dyes were not just for clothing. They were for the skin, used to create intricate patterns that were both beautiful and symbolic. You see a woman's arm being adorned with swirling blue patterns reminiscent of waves or celestial bodies. You feel the cool, slightly watery texture of the plant dye on your own skin, the earthy, herbaceous scent rising into your nostrils. It's a natural paint, a direct application of the earth's palette onto the human canvas. You think of your modern makeup palette, your synthetic pigments, your precise brushes. Here, the tools are simple. Natural brushes made from animal hair or reeds, sharpened sticks, or even just fingers. The application is an art form, a slow, deliberate dance of color and meaning. The vibrant hues aren't meant to mask imperfections, but to celebrate and accentuate the body's natural form, turning it into a living, moving work of art. Hair care, too, was rooted in nature. Aztec women would use amole, a plant-based soap, to wash their hair, leaving it lustrous and clean. Oils extracted from various seeds and plants would be massaged into the scalp for conditioning. You imagine the invigorating sensation of amole lathering through your hair, the natural, earthy scent, followed by the rich, conditioning feel of a plant oil, leaving your hair feeling strong and healthy. The contrast with European wigs and powders is striking. Here, natural hair, often braided and adorned with flowers or precious metals, was celebrated. You also learn about the use of tepezcahuite, a bark with medicinal properties which was sometimes used for skin healing and toning, acting as a natural astringent and cleanser. You can almost feel the tingling, refreshing sensation of a Tepesco wheat wash on your face, a subtle, earthy scent, leaving your skin feeling clean and taut. It's a holistic approach where medicine and beauty are deeply intertwined. For ceremonial occasions, the adornments would become even more elaborate. Gold dust might be mixed with plant oils and applied to the skin, making it shimmer and glow under the tropical sun. Feathers, precious stones like jade and turquoise, and elaborate hairstyles would complete the look. You imagine the sensation of fine gold dust clinging to your skin, reflecting the light, turning you into a glittering, living deity. The weight of jade and turquoise ornaments, the rustle of feathers in your braided hair. It's an immersive experience of sacred beauty. You gaze at the women, their faces and bodies, a tapestry of vibrant colors and meaningful symbols. Their beauty is not about youth or ethereal pallor, but about strength, connection, and spiritual significance. These rituals are acts of empowerment, connecting them to their ancestors, their gods, and the very land they inhabit. You feel a deep respect for this profound approach to beauty, one that celebrates rather than masks, one that draws directly from the earth's pulsating heart. As the vibrant colors of the Aztec court begin to soften and fade, the scent of crushed cochineal, earthy dyes, and smoky fires lingers in your senses. You are left with a powerful impression of a beauty ideal radically different from anything you've encountered in Europe or Asia. You touch your own skin, feeling its natural tone, and reflect on the privilege of choosing your own adornments. Free from the strictures of ritual and cultural demand, the deep, rich reds and blues still shimmer in your mind's eye, a testament to the incredible artistry and profound connection to nature that defined Aztec beauty. The vibrant, earthy hues of the Aztec Empire recede, replaced by the opulent, yet often unhygienic, salons of Georgian England. The air is thick with the sweet, cloying scent of cheap perfume, mingled with the faint, metallic tang of lead, and the acrid, almost almond-like scent of something deeply unsettling. You are in a richly decorated drawing room, but the glittering chandeliers and silken fabrics can't quite mask the underlying grime and pervasive danger. This is the Georgian era, a time of excessive fashion, powdered wigs, and a truly perilous pursuit of beauty, where the desire for a fashionable pallor led women to embrace deadly poisons. Your gaze is drawn to a small, silver box on a lady's dressing table. Inside, not delicate pastries, but tiny, almost transparent wafers. These, you learn with a chilling sense of dread, are arsenic wafers. Ingested regularly, these wafers were believed to lighten the complexion, clear the skin of blemishes, and give the user a luminous glow. You feel a cold shiver run down your spine. Arsenic, a deadly poison deliberately ingested for beauty. Your modern mind screams in protest, recalling toxicology reports and tales of slow, agonizing deaths. You imagine the feeling of placing one of these wafers on your tongue, a slight bitterness, a dry, papery texture. Then the insidious journey of the poison through your system. You think of your vitamin supplements, your carefully formulated health drinks. Here, the ritual is an act of self-poisoning, a desperate gamble with one's own life for the sake of an appearance. The immediate effects would have been subtle, a slight flush, perhaps a feeling of lightness. But over time, the cumulative effects would be devastating. Chronic fatigue, digestive issues, skin lesions, hair loss, and eventually organ failure and death. You picture the Georgian lady, perhaps a duchess or a wealthy heiress, sipping her tea, casually popping an arsenic wafer, believing it to be a harmless tonic for her complexion. The social pressure to conform to the ideal of a pale, delicate beauty was immense. A rosy glow might indicate a milkmaid or someone who worked outdoors. Pallor signaled aristocratic leisure and refinement. For these women, particularly those seeking to secure a good marriage or maintain social standing, beauty was a commodity, and they were willing to pay the ultimate price. But arsenic wasn't the only danger. Your attention shifts to a small pot of thick, white paste. This, you discover, is still ceruse, the lead-based paint familiar from Elizabeth Dachen's era, but used with even more abandon. And beside it, a collection of tiny black velvet or silk patches cut into stars, moons, hearts, or simple circles. These are mouches, or beauty patches, used not just to conceal blemishes, but also to make political statements or simply for flirtation. You feel the phantom heaviness of the ceruse as it's applied to your face, a thick, suffocating layer that masks every natural skin tone, creating a stark, unnatural white. The metallic tang, faintly discernible, warns you of its toxic presence. Then, the careful application of the beauty patches. You imagine placing a tiny black star near your eye, or a crescent moon on your cheekbone. It's a whimsical yet unsettling detail on an otherwise ghostly canvas. These patches, while seemingly benign, often covered up the very blemishes and scars caused by the corrosive lead in the makeup itself, creating a vicious cycle of concealment and damage. You reflect on the irony. Women poisoning themselves to achieve a flawless complexion, then covering the resulting damage with decorative patches. It's a testament to the societal blindness of the era, the willful ignorance of the dangers posed by these substances, all in the name of fashion. You imagine the constant flaking and cracking of the ceruse, the need for frequent touch-ups, the feeling of your skin struggling to breathe under its toxic weight. Hair, too, was an elaborate and often unhygienic affair. While not as dramatically high as Marie Antoinette's creations, Georgian wigs and natural hair were still heavily powdered, often with scented flour or starch, to achieve a fashionable white or grey hue. You feel the fine dust tickling your nose, settling on your eyelashes, creating a constant, pervasive presence. The smell of stale powder, mingled with rancid pomade, animal fat used to hold the hair, and cheap perfume, would have been an ever-present sensory assault. You also learn about the dropsy method for achieving a slender figure, a dangerously effective way of flushing the body of fluids using diuretics, often combined with arsenic-laced tonics. You feel a phantom weakness, a dizziness, the dehydrating effects of such a regime, all for the sake of a fashionable silhouette. It's a comprehensive assault on the body, from the inside out, driven by an insatiable desire to conform to an idealized, often unhealthy, standard of beauty as the opulent, yet dangerous, drawing room of the Georgian era begins to dissolve. The acrid scent of arsenic and lead lingers, a chilling reminder of the perils of historical beauty. You are left with a profound sense of gratitude for modern medical knowledge and safe cosmetics. You touch your own healthy skin, grateful for its natural color, and reflect on the incredible sacrifices, often unseen and deadly, made by women in pursuit of an elusive and toxic ideal. The image of those delicate arsenic wafers, so innocently deadly, remains seared in your mind. Segment 12, Queen Victoria's Invisible Beauty, Subtlety and Restraint. The powdered, perilous world of Georgian excess gently fades, replaced by the hushed, almost somber atmosphere of Victorian England. The air is clean, smelling faintly of lavender, beeswax, and perhaps a distant whiff of coal smoke from the ever-expanding industrial city. You are in a modestly grand, yet deeply private lady's boudoir, stripped of the garish ornamentation of previous eras. This is the quiet, restrained world of Queen Victoria, a monarch who, paradoxically, championed a natural beauty ideal that was anything but natural, demanding meticulous effort in its seeming effortlessness. Your eyes scan the dressing table and you notice a striking absence. There are no pots of ceruse, no arsenic wafers, no towering wigs. Instead, you see simple glass bottles of lotions, vials of rosewater, and perhaps a discreet tin of complexion powder, almost identical to what a modern woman might consider. This, you learn, is the era of no makeup, where overtly painted faces were considered vulgar, even scandalous. Yet, beneath this veneer of naturalness lay a hidden world of rituals just as demanding, if less overtly dangerous than those of her predecessors. You recall your own approach to natural beauty, perhaps a tinted moisturizer, a touch of mascara. Here, the goal is not to appear to wear makeup at all, but to achieve a pristine, youthful glow that suggests perfect health and inherent purity. For Queen Victoria and the women of her era, respectability and modesty were paramount. A painted woman was associated with actresses or courtesans, not with virtuous wives or respectable ladies. So, how did they achieve this natural look? You observe a lady's maid carefully preparing a bowl of chilled rosewater. This, you learn, was regularly splashed onto the face to tighten pores and refresh the complexion. You feel the phantom splash of cool, fragrant water on your own face, an invigorating yet temporary sensation. It's a simple, seemingly benign ritual, but one that required consistency and discipline. Next, you see a small bottle of belladonna again, but this time it's not the lethal variety of Catherine de' Medici. While still dangerous, the Victorian version was sometimes diluted and used more sparingly to dilate pupils, making the eyes appear larger and more sparkling, an innocent allure. You feel a familiar, subtle sting in your phantom eyes, the blurring of vision, the heightened light sensitivity. Even in an era of restraint, the desire for captivating eyes persisted, often at a cost. For a rosy glow, pinches were applied to the cheeks, or silk scarves were rubbed vigorously across the face to stimulate blood flow, creating a temporary flush. You feel a phantom pinch on your own cheek, a sharp, momentary pain, followed by a rush of warmth. You imagine rubbing a rough silk scarf against your skin, creating a delicate flush that would fade all too quickly, requiring constant reapplication. It's a hidden form of exertion, an invisible ritual for an invisible beauty. Hair, too, was not powdered but meticulously styled. Long, lustrous hair was highly prized, often worn in intricate braids or coiled buns at the nape of the neck. You feel the phantom tug of long hair being brushed for an hour each night, the delicate scent of lavender oil being worked into the strands. The maintenance of such elaborate yet natural hairstyles required immense time and patience. But perhaps the most pervasive and demanding beauty ritual of the Victorian era was the corset. Tight lacing, the practice of cinching the waist to an impossibly small circumference, was an everyday reality for many women. You feel the profound, constricting pressure around your ribs and abdomen. The whalebone or steel stays dig into your flesh, making deep breathing difficult, restricting movement, and often causing internal organ displacement, fainting spells, and long-term health issues. You imagine rising each morning and enduring the painful process of being laced into your corset, perhaps by a maid pulling with all her might. The suffocating feeling, the difficulty in eating a full meal, the constant pressure, it's a daily torture endured for the sake of an idealized silhouette. Your body, accustomed to comfort and freedom of movement, rebels against the phantom constriction. You feel a profound gratitude for the elasticity of your modern clothing, for the ability to breathe deeply and move freely. Queen Victoria herself, though later known for her more matronly appearance after Albert's death, set the tone for this era of restrained yet demanding beauty. Her emphasis on moral rectitude and domesticity meant that ostentatious display was frowned upon. Beauty was to be subtle, an inherent quality cultivated through strict regimens of diet, exercise within acceptable limits, and hygiene, all designed to produce a seemingly effortless radiance as the quiet, disciplined boudoir of the Victorian era slowly recedes. The scent of lavender and the phantom constriction of the corset linger. you are left with a powerful impression of a beauty ideal that, while outwardly modest, was internally just as demanding and often as physically brutal as the more flamboyant eras. You appreciate the freedom to choose your own style, to embrace or reject makeup, without the crushing weight of societal judgment. The hidden sacrifices, the internal struggles for invisible beauty, speak volumes about the enduring pressures faced by women, even in an era of perceived modesty. The silence of the room, punctuated only by the distant sounds of a bustling city, feels almost oppressive in its expectation of subtle perfection. The restrained, corseted world of Victorian England dissolves, replaced by the scorching sun and parched air of ancient Mesopotamia. The scent here is dry, dusty, with the earthy aroma of baked clay bricks, the sweet, spicy notes of exotic resins, and a faint mineral tang. You are in a royal dressing chamber within a ziggurat-crowned palace in Sumer, a cradle of civilization. This is the world of Mesopotamian queens, priestesses, and noblewomen, whose beauty rituals were steeped in ritual, mythology, and the profound symbolism of precious stones and the very earth itself. Your gaze is drawn to a small, ornate grinding palette made of dark, polished stone. On it rests a breathtaking sight. Small, rough chunks of lapis lazuli, their deep, celestial blue shimmering even in the dim light of the chamber. Beside it, a pestle and tiny pots of fragrant oils. This, you learn, is the primary ingredient for Mesopotamian eye makeup, a cosmetic that was not merely for adornment, but for spiritual protection and to mimic the gaze of the gods. You are struck by the sheer value represented by this single cosmetic ingredient. Lapis was more precious than gold in many ancient cultures, traded across vast distances from distant mines. You watch as a skilled attendant, her movements deliberate and precise, takes a small chunk of lapis lazuli and begins to grind it into a fine powder on the palette. The sound is a soft, rhythmic scrape, a whisper of luxury and immense labor. You imagine the cool, smooth texture of the stone, the fine dust that rises, coating the air with a subtle, mineral scent. This isn't a manufactured pigment. It's the raw essence of a precious stone, literally ground into beauty. You recall your modern eyeliners, pencils, and liquid formulas, mass-produced and easily accessible. Here, the creation of kohl was a meticulous, almost alchemical process. The finely ground lapis would be mixed with fragrant oils, often castor or olive, to create a rich, dark paste. This paste would then be applied to the eyelids and around the eyes with a thin, pointed stick, often made of ivory or polished bone. You feel a phantom coolness as the paste is applied to your own eyelids. The thick, smooth texture, the dark, intense pigment creating a dramatic almond shape around your eyes. The symbolism of the lapis lazuli was profound. Its deep blue color evoked the night sky, the heavens, and the domains of the gods. By adorning their eyes with this celestial pigment, Mesopotamian women, particularly those in positions of power, were believed to be connecting with the divine, imbuing their gaze with sacred power and protection against evil. It was an amulet, a prayer, and a declaration of status, all in one stroke. You imagine a queen, her eyes rimmed with lapis lazuli, commanding attention not just through her words, but through the profound, almost supernatural intensity of her gaze. These were not coquettish eyes. These were the eyes of a priestess, a ruler, a woman imbued with divine authority. The feeling of that heavy, dark kohl on your eyes is not merely cosmetic. It's a ceremonial weight, a tangible connection to an ancient, powerful belief system. Beyond the eyes, Mesopotamian noblewomen used other natural ingredients for their complexion. Crushed red ochre, a mineral pigment, would be used to tint the lips and cheeks, providing a subtle, earthy flush that spoke of vitality. You feel the faint, powdery texture of red ochre on your lips, a dry, mineral taste, imparting a subtle, natural hue. It's a far cry from your vibrant, chemically formulated lipsticks. For skincare, oils extracted from sesame seeds, olives, or dates would be massaged into the skin, providing moisture and a subtle sheen. You feel the rich, emollient texture of a warm sesame oil being gently worked into your skin, its nutty, earthy scent rising into your nostrils. It's a simple yet effective ritual that speaks of connection to the land and its bounty. Hair, often dark and thick, would be elaborately braided, coiled, and adorned with gold ribbons, beads, and sometimes even real flowers. You feel the phantom weight of long, thick hair being painstakingly braided, the careful weaving of gold threads, the delicate scent of jasmine or poppy blossoms intertwined with the dark strands. Hair was often scented with fragrant resins and oils, adding to the sensory richness of their appearance. You also learn about the extensive use of perfumes. Unguents and oils infused with myrrh, frankincense, cinnamon, and other precious spices would be lavishly applied to the body, creating a pervasive, luxurious aroma that enveloped the women of the court. You inhale deeply, and the air around you is suddenly thick with the heady, exotic blend of these ancient perfumes, a scent that is both intoxicating and deeply spiritual. It's a sensory immersion into a world where scent was as important as sight in conveying status and allure. As the sun-baked, yet opulent chamber of ancient Sumer begins to fade, the intense blue of lapis lazuli, the earthy scent of ochre, and the intoxicating aroma of ancient perfumes linger. You are left with a powerful impression of a beauty ideal deeply rooted in nature, spirituality, and the profound symbolism of the earth's most precious gifts. You touch your own eyes, feeling the ghost of that heavy coal, and appreciate the relative ease and safety of your modern cosmetics. The silent, ancient gaze of a Mesopotamian queen, imbued with the power of the heavens, still holds you captive. The scorching sun and mineral scents of Mesopotamia dissolve, replaced by the damp, chilly air and a pervasive smell of herbs, stale rushes, and something faintly metallic in a medieval European castle. You are in a privy chamber lit by flickering candlelight and a crackling fire, but it's far from cozy. This is the rough, often brutal world of medieval queens and noblewomen, where beauty rituals were deeply intertwined with medicine, superstition, and a pervasive belief in the humors of the body. And you are about to witness a truly bizarre and disturbing method of complexion care: bloodletting with leeches. Your gaze falls upon a wooden bowl, half filled with murky water. In it, several dark, segmented creatures writhe slowly. Leeches. You feel an immediate wave of revulsion, a primal disgust at the sight of these blood-sucking parasites. Your modern mind, accustomed to antiseptic environments and scientific medicine, recoils from this barbaric practice. Yet, for medieval women, these creatures were not just pests. They were tools for beauty, believed to be essential for achieving a desirable, pale complexion. You learn that medieval medical theory, based on the ancient Greek concept of the four humors, blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile, dictated that an imbalance in these humors caused illness and affected appearance. An excess of blood, for example, was thought to cause a ruddy, unhealthy complexion. To remedy this and achieve the prized pale skin of nobility, bloodletting was a common practice, and leeches, with their precise, controlled blood extraction, were a preferred method. You watch as a skilled physician, or more likely, a trusted maid with some medical knowledge, prepares a leech. She carefully takes one, its slimy body writhing, and places it directly onto a woman's temple. You flinch, imagining the sensation, the cold, soft body of the leech, followed by a sharp, painless bite as it latches on, its suckers adhering firmly to the skin. Then, the slow, insidious process of blood extraction begins. You feel a phantom crawling sensation on your own temple, the disconcerting thought of a parasite feeding on your lifeblood. The belief was that by drawing off bad or excess blood, the complexion would become clearer, paler, and more youthful. You recall your own skincare products that promise to detoxify or purify. This is a literal, albeit misguided attempt at purification, a physical act of expelling perceived impurities from the body. You imagine the medieval lady enduring this, perhaps with a sense of quiet fortitude, believing firmly in its efficacy. The social pressure to appear delicate and refined, far from the sun-darkened skin of the peasantry, was immense. As the leech engorges, growing plump and dark with blood, you imagine the feeling of lightheadedness, the subtle weakness, the unsettling visual of your own blood being slowly siphoned away. The thought of it, so far removed from your modern understanding of health and vitality, fills you with a profound sense of the vulnerability of these women. They were trusting their beauty and often their health to practices that were, by today's standards, dangerous and unscientific. But bloodletting wasn't the only complexion ritual. Medieval women also used other, less invasive, but equally peculiar methods. Egg whites, when applied to the face, were believed to tighten the skin and give it a temporary gloss. You feel the sticky, cool sensation of egg white being spread onto your face, drying to a tight, uncomfortable mask that cracks with every expression. It's a benign ritual compared to leeches, but still a far cry from your hydrating sheet masks. Other ingredients included pastes made from ground almonds and rosewater, used for gentle exfoliation and moisturizing. You imagine the grainy texture of the almond paste, the delicate scent of roses, a brief moment of gentle care amidst the harsher practices. Herbal concoctions, often made from lily root or comfrey, were also used to lighten and soothe the skin. Hair, usually long and considered a symbol of modesty and beauty, was often covered by elaborate headdresses or veils, but still meticulously cared for. Washes made from herbs like chamomile or rosemary were used to keep it clean and lustrous. You feel the gentle scrubbing of an herbal wash, the earthy, cleansing scent, leaving your hair feeling soft and pure. As the medieval chamber begins to dissolve, the lingering image of the leeches, dark and engorged, remains unsettling. The faint metallic scent, mingled with the aroma of herbs, persists. You are left with a powerful impression of a beauty ideal, deeply rooted in ancient medical beliefs and the constant struggle against illness and perceived impurity. You touch your own pulse point, feeling the steady rhythm of your blood, and are profoundly grateful for a world where beauty doesn't demand such literal sacrifices from your own body. The quiet horror of the leech, a symbol of desperate beauty, still clings to your phantom senses. The damp, leech-laden air of medieval Europe dissipates, replaced by the dry, crisp cold and then intense heat of Imperial Russia. The scent shifts dramatically, from stale rushes and metallic tang to the invigorating aroma of birch, pine, and fragrant herbs, mixed with the intense, clean smell of steam. You are not in a gentle boudoir, but within the opulent, yet intensely practical, confines of a Russian banya, a traditional bathhouse within a tsarina's palace. This is the world of powerful Russian empresses like Catherine the Great, whose beauty rituals were robust, invigorating, and deeply intertwined with the cleansing and purifying power of heat and nature. Your first sensation is the overwhelming, enveloping heat. Steam billows around you, thick and moist, immediately opening your pores and making your skin prickle. You hear the hiss of water being thrown onto hot stones, the rustle of birch branches, and the deep, contented sighs of women undergoing their ritual. This isn't just a quick bath. It's a multi-stage process, a transformative experience designed to cleanse, invigorate, and beautify the body from head to toe. You watch as a group of bath attendants, strong and cheerful women, prepare the Parani ritual, They dip bundles of dried birch, oak, or eucalyptus branches, venix, into hot water, letting them soften and release their aromatic oils. These venix are not just for scent. They are used for vigorous, rhythmic beating of the body. You feel a strange mixture of anticipation and trepidation. You imagine yourself lying on a wooden bench, the heat radiating up from below, sweat pouring from every pore. Then the rhythmic thwack, thwack, thwack of the venix against your skin. It's not a gentle massage. It's a powerful, stimulating sensation designed to increase circulation, open pores, and drive out impurities. You feel the stinging sensation, followed by a rush of tingling warmth as if your entire body is waking up. The scent of hot birch and eucalyptus fills your lungs, invigorating and cleansing. Your modern spa experiences with their gentle massages and soft music feel incredibly tame in comparison. This is a visceral, almost primal form of self-care. After the perini comes the scrubbing. Attendants would apply a coarse, natural scrub, often made from ground oats, honey, or a mixture of salt and herbs, to the skin. You feel the satisfying abrasion of the scrub being vigorously rubbed over your body, sloughing away dead skin cells, leaving your skin feeling raw, yet incredibly smooth and alive. The scents of honey and herbs mingle with the lingering aroma of birch, creating a complex, earthy fragrance. You think of your modern body scrubs, often laden with artificial fragrances and gentle exfoliants. This is raw, powerful, and deeply effective. For the face, delicate masks made from fresh berries, sour cream, or honey would be applied, drawing on the natural bounty of the Russian countryside. You feel the cool, creamy texture of a sour cream mask on your face, its faint tanginess, followed by the sticky sweetness of honey, leaving your skin feeling soft and nourished. It's a natural, wholesome approach to facial care, a stark contrast to the poisonous concoctions of other eras. Hair, typically long and thick, would be washed with herbal infusions, chamomile for blonde hair, nettle or horsetail for darker locks, to promote strength and shine. After the banya, women would often rinse their hair with cold water or snow, believed to seal the hair cuticles and add an extra gleam. You feel the invigorating shock of cold water rinsing through your hair, a sudden sharp contrast to the intense heat of the banya, leaving your scalp tingling and refreshed. You imagine a tsarina, powerful and majestic, engaging in these rituals. Catherine the Great, for instance, a woman of formidable intellect and iron will, would have understood the importance of physical vitality and a radiant appearance. For her, the banya was not just about beauty. It was about health, resilience, and a powerful connection to Russian traditions. It was a cleansing of both body and spirit, preparing her for the demanding responsibilities of ruling an empire. You reflect on the contrast between this robust, invigorating approach to beauty and the delicate, often dangerous rituals of other European courts. Here, there is no emphasis on pallor or artificiality. Instead, the focus is on a healthy, glowing complexion, a robust body, and a vibrant spirit, all achieved through the raw power of nature and the transformative heat of the banya. You feel a profound sense of rejuvenation, a renewed connection to your own body's strength and resilience. As the steam-filled banya begins to dissipate, the invigorating scent of birch and pine, mingled with the earthy sweetness of honey and herbs, lingers in your senses. You are left with a powerful impression of a beauty ideal that celebrated strength, vitality, and a deep connection to nature. You touch your own skin, feeling its warmth and resilience, and appreciate the raw, powerful methods that Russian empresses used to achieve their radiant glow. The memory of the venix thwack and the invigorating scrub remains, a testament to a vigorous and profoundly effective approach to imperial beauty. The invigorating heat and earthy scents of the Russian banya fade, replaced by the warm, sun-drenched air of ancient Greece. The scent here is lighter, cleaner, with notes of olive oil, myrtle, and a faint, acrid mineral tang that you're beginning to recognize as a harbinger of danger. You are in a modestly elegant women's chamber within a wealthy Athenian home, starkly different from the imperial palaces of other lands. This is the world of ancient Greek noblewomen, whose beauty rituals, though less ostentatious than some, still embraced harmful substances in their pursuit of an idealized, often restricted aesthetic. Your gaze is drawn to a small ceramic pot containing a thick white paste. This once again is white lead, used to achieve the prized pale complexion. While perhaps not as overtly flamboyant as Elizabethan ceruse, the underlying chemical danger remains the same. You recall the lessons from previous eras, the slow, insidious poisoning, and you feel an immediate sense of unease. For Greek women, a pale skin tone was a mark of status, signifying that they did not work in the sun like common laborers or slaves. It was a symbol of leisure, refinement, and a sheltered existence. You watch as a young attendant, her movements graceful and precise, uses a small spatula to apply the white lead paste to a woman's face. You feel the familiar coolness, the thick, heavy texture, as it spreads, obscuring your natural skin tone. The light here, filtering through narrow windows, is soft, making the resulting pallor appear delicate and ethereal. You imagine the constant fear of sweating or the makeup cracking, revealing the natural, less than ideal skin beneath. It's a fragile beauty, constantly at risk of exposure. You reflect on your own skincare, breathable foundations, mineral powders. Here, the goal is not to enhance, but to transform, to create an artificial canvas of purity and status. The continuous exposure to lead would have caused headaches, nausea, skin problems, and long-term neurological damage. You feel a phantom dullness in your mind, a slight tremor in your hands, the insidious effects of poison slowly creeping into your system. Next, your attention shifts to the eyes. A small vial contains a dark, powdery substance, kohl, made from antimony or soot mixed with oils or fats. This kohl was used to outline the eyes, making them appear larger, more defined, and more alluring. You feel the coolness of the kohl stick as it's drawn along your lash line, creating a deep, dark frame for your eyes. The scent is subtle, earthy, almost smoky. Unlike the divine symbolism of Mesopotamian lapis lazuli, Greek kohl was more about enhancing sensual beauty. You imagine the feeling of the kohl, the slight itch if it's smudged, the constant need for touch-ups. For women who were largely confined to the inner chambers of their homes, their eyes, glimpsed through veils or from behind lattices, became powerful tools of communication and allure. A captivating gaze could convey far more than words. For the lips and cheeks, a subtle flush was desired, achieved using natural plant dyes or crushed berries, or sometimes even vermilion, a mercury-based pigment. You feel the light, fruity stain of crushed berries on your lips, a natural, temporary blush that adds a touch of vitality to the pale canvas of your face. But then you consider the possibility of vermilion, another toxic ingredient, used to achieve a brighter, more artificial red. The constant gamble between natural and dangerous pigments. Hair was another focal point of Greek beauty. Often dark, thick and curly, it was adorned with ribbons, combs, and sometimes even sprinkled with gold dust for special occasions. You feel the phantom weight of long, artfully styled hair, the delicate touch of a ribbon being woven through braids, the subtle sparkle of gold dust catching the light. Oils, often olive oil infused with herbs like myrtle or marjoram, were massaged into the hair and scalp for conditioning and fragrance. You feel the rich, emollient texture of the olive oil, its clean green scent, leaving your hair feeling soft and lustrous. You think of the limited lives of many Greek women, particularly those of the upper classes, largely confined to the gyneceum, the women's quarters. Their beauty rituals were not for public display in the agora, but for their husbands, their families, and perhaps for their own sense of self-worth. It was an internal world of beauty, meticulously maintained despite the inherent dangers. The pressure to conform to the ideal of a pure, delicate, and fertile wife was immense, and beauty was a key component of that ideal, as the sun-drenched, yet quietly dangerous, chamber of ancient Greece begins to fade. The lingering sense of pallor, the deep kohl of the eyes, and the subtle scent of olive oil and myrtle remain. You are left with a powerful impression of a beauty ideal that, while outwardly modest, still embraced the deadly allure of lead and mercury. You touch your own cheeks, feeling the warmth of your natural skin, and are profoundly grateful for a world where beauty doesn't demand such a constant, silent sacrifice to hidden poisons. The image of the pale face, framed by dark kohl, still speaks volumes about the enduring, often perilous, pursuit of an idealized aesthetic. The subtle, lead-tinged air of ancient Greece dissolves, replaced by the thin, crisp air of the Andean highlands. The scent here is vibrant and earthy. The sweet, slightly spicy aroma of annatto achiote, the metallic tang of gold, and the cool, clean smell of mountain air. You are in a grand, sun-drenched courtyard within an Inca palace built of precisely cut stones. This is the world of Inca noblewomen and priestesses, whose beauty rituals were deeply intertwined with their connection to the sun god Inti, their revered ancestors, and the rich bounty of their high-altitude empire. Your gaze is immediately drawn to a collection of bright red, spiky seed pods. These, you learn, are from the achiote tree, also known as annatto. When crushed, these seeds yield a brilliant, intense reddish-orange pigment. This pigment was universally used by Inca people, from commoners to royalty, not just for adornment, but for spiritual protection and to symbolize their connection to the life-giving sun. You are struck by the vibrancy, the sheer natural power of this color, a stark contrast to the pale ideals of the West. You watch as a skilled artisan, her hands stained a rich orange, grinds the achiote seeds into a fine, oily paste. The scent is distinct, slightly sweet, a little peppery, and profoundly earthy. This paste, mixed with plant oils, would be applied to the skin, creating a rich, reddish-orange hue that celebrated a sun-kissed, healthy complexion. You feel a phantom application of the warm, oily paste onto your own skin, the smooth, emollient texture, the vibrant color transforming your natural tone into a rich, earthy glow. This isn't about covering imperfections. It's about enhancing a desired, powerful, and sacred aesthetic. You recall your modern bronzers and self-tanners designed to mimic a sun-kissed look. Here, it's a direct, natural application, a ritual that connects the wearer to the very essence of the sun. For Inca noblewomen, particularly the mamacuna, priestesses and royal women, this color was a declaration of their divine lineage, their vitality, and their sacred connection to Inti, the sun god. It was a uniform of power, an emblem of sacred beauty. But achiote was not the only form of adornment. Your attention shifts to small, shimmering flakes of metal. This, you learn, is pure gold dust, meticulously harvested from riverbeds and then pounded into an incredibly fine, ethereal powder. Gold, the sweat of the sun, was considered sacred, a direct gift from Inti. It was used to adorn the body, particularly for ceremonies, symbolizing divine status and immense wealth. You feel the phantom sensation of fine gold dust being gently sprinkled onto your achiote-stained skin. The particles are almost weightless, yet they catch the light, creating an otherworldly shimmer, making your skin glow as if illuminated from within. You imagine the effect under the high Andean sun, transforming the wearer into a living embodiment of the sun god's radiance. It's an intoxicating feeling, a profound connection to something ancient and divine. Hair, typically dark, long and thick, was meticulously braided and adorned. Flowers, feathers from exotic birds, and intricate gold ornaments would be woven into the braids, creating elaborate hairstyles that were both beautiful and culturally significant. You feel the phantom tug of long, dark hair being carefully braided, the cool, smooth texture of gold ornaments, the soft tickle of feathers against your scalp. Hair was seen as a vital part of one's identity and life force, treated with reverence. For fragrance, women would use natural resins, incense, and floral essences derived from local plants. The air around you is thick with the sweet, earthy aroma of copal resin, mingled with the delicate scent of orchids and other mountain flowers. It's a clean, spiritual fragrance that evokes the vast, untamed beauty of the Andes. You also learn about the use of coca leaves, not for cosmetic application, but for their medicinal and spiritual properties. Chewing coca leaves would help noble women endure the thin air, reduce hunger, and induce a state of mild euphoria, connecting them to the spirit world. You imagine the slightly bitter taste, the numbing sensation, and the gentle uplift of mood, allowing them to participate in strenuous rituals and maintain a serene composure. It's a holistic approach to well-being, where the internal state directly influenced outward beauty. You contemplate the lives of Inca noblewomen, figures of immense spiritual and political power within their communities. Their beauty rituals were not about individual vanity, but about collective identity, spiritual devotion, and the affirmation of their sacred roles. The achiote and gold dust were symbols of their connection to the cosmos, their vitality, and their leadership. They embodied the beauty of their land, the power of their gods, and the strength of their people as the vibrant, sun-drenched courtyard of the Inca palace begins to dissolve. The sweet, spicy scent of achiote, the metallic shimmer of gold dust, and the earthy aroma of copal linger in your senses. You are left with a powerful impression of a beauty ideal deeply rooted in reverence for nature, the sun, and a profound sense of spiritual connection. You touch your own skin, feeling its natural warmth, and reflect on the privilege of modern choices. The image of the achiote painted skin, gleaming with the sweat of the sun, remains a testament to a magnificent and deeply spiritual approach to imperial beauty. Utterly free from the dark, insidious poisons of other lands, the vast, high Andean sky, imbued with the power of Inti, still seems to stretch out above you,